Okay, so here I am on my art table in my studio, in my home studio. And if you remember, these were the pieces that I was working on in the last two studio sessions. These were with the upcycled Venetian plaster and the pieces that I created. I have 3 art fairs coming up and 1 solo show. So I'm getting pieces ready. And if you remember, these were some of the pieces I was working on for the last 2 studio sessions. They are the Venetian plaster, the upcycled Venetian plaster pieces. And they started out to be an experiment playing with the plaster, and they ended up being 8 little pieces of art that I would like to make more presentable, frame them so that I have small pieces and affordable pieces when I do my art fairs. I'll be doing all 3 art walks in San Diego: Art Walk Little Italy, Art Walk Liberty Station, Art Walk Carlsbad, and in there I also have a Gallery 21 solo show coming up in May in the Spanish Village of Balboa Park in San Diego. So if you're a local, I'll add my dates for those shows in the description so you can come and see my work up close and personal and introduce yourself. Say hi and let me know you're a follower so we can have a conversation. But until then, I want to get these pieces framed. And like I said, I want to frame them affordably. Here are the pieces that I have framed so far. And, you know, what a difference a frame makes. They just look so finished off. I think that, you know, when you put a frame and a mat on something, it makes all the difference in the world. So let me move those out of the way. I'm going to show you the supplies that I use before I get started. First of all, I found on Amazon, I believe, and I'll put the link down below. I found 10 frames. These are, let's see, what are these? They are 12 by 16 frames, 12 by 16 inches. They have a mat in them. However, I could not use this mat. They have plexi instead of glass, which I like because when I ship my art, plexi is a lot easier, and a lot of galleries now require you to use plexi and not glass. So I have that. Possibly scissors, possibly an X-Acto knife. I always like to have a really smooth brush that I can dust off everything before I put the plexi on top so that I don't have a lot of little pieces of lint. So I have that. This is also a brush I used to do my gold leaf and copper leaf with. This brush is only used for that and dusting things off. I always have a pair of white gloves. Sometimes when I'm really concerned that I'm going to get my mats dirty or anything dirty, I'll put gloves on. A ruler, of course. A paper cutter. I have double stick Scotch tape in a roll, and I have double-sided Scotch tape. And I also have linen tape that is linen on one side and it's sticky on the other. I use that for my mats. And of course, a paper cutter. And this is a great little Fiskars paper cutter that I love to use. So that and a pencil. So let me get those guys moved out of my way. And I also use a roll of foam to cover the pieces once I get them framed, to wrap them up so they don't get scratched while I'm waiting for them to go into a show. So here's what I did with these. White mat. Now this white mat is an 11 by 8, and I need a 9 by 12. So I'm not going to be able to allow all of that to show through. So let me see what I can do. This mat has, and I don't know if you can see, I'm going to try to get it as close as I can, has a little edge right here that bevels. And it's mitered at the corners, so it folds back. And this is going to allow me to do the little black inset, so I can have a two-tone mat. So now I've got all 4 sides tucked in, and it's going to look like this on the back side. Then what I'm doing is I'm going to take either one of the double-sided tapes. This one is, the Scotch tape's easy to use because I can just pull off what I want. And I want to make sure that that little piece that I just folded over sticks to the back. And I want to leave enough showing because I also want the black mat to stick to that. Oops, I didn't do that quite in enough. Okay, now I've got that, and I left enough of the tape, not enough of the double-sided tape sticking out that I can then take my black mat and I eyeball this. If you're more comfortable with measuring and getting an exact, but my eyes go pretty good on this kind of thing, so I'm going to put that down. Although now, as soon as I say that, I can see that it's a little bit bigger on one side. So now I've got the two together. I'm going to take my paper cutter, line it up. And there we go. So now I want to take this and I can kind of play around with it and see what, I'm going to lose part of this because it's probably, let's see what the exact, I think I'm going to lose about an inch going both ways. Now I really like that turquoise spot right there. Well, let me get this more in line so you can see what's happening. I like that turquoise spot. So I am going to, and I also want some of my gold to show up. Is there anything missing over that? And I just kind of play with it until I find the perfect spot. I also like that little turquoise. I'm liking the way that shows up. Okay, so I'm feeling like that is a pretty good spot. I'm gonna grab it, turn it over. Now I see that it's a little off. Let me see if straightening it. No, actually straightening it works pretty well. Let's take a look. looks pretty good. Then what I do is I sign my mat on the back. And then I will date the back. I don't date the front because I don't think that's necessary. I'm gonna come over here, grab my first frame. Now, of course, you can do this in a way that you're using better frames. This is just a basic little frame, and I find a lot of times when I get too busy with my frames or spend too much time on my frames, most people have their own idea of what they'd like to have, how they'd like to have things framed. So quite often, people will ask me if I have a frame in a different color. And, I'm not a framer. I'm a painter. So this is the mat that came out of the frame. I can't use it for these pieces because I'm going for the black. So I'm going to toss that away. The plexi then has protectant on it that you need to take off. Okay. Put my piece in here. Make sure that my hangers are going the right way. So this way, I'm selling a piece of finished artwork. And if somebody wants to change the frame, it's not going to be that expensive for them to do it. But it makes my art look good going into a show. And that little bit of bling shows up really nice. I love that. I'm glad I added that. Okay, so if you watched the last two studio sessions, number 154 and 155, you followed along as I worked on these pieces that were kind of fun. Started out to be experiments. And I ended up with 8 small pieces of artwork. So here I have 4 of my pieces that are already framed and ready to go. And isn't it amazing what a frame and a mat does for a piece of art? In the videos, I was talking about adding a postage stamp or another element, but I just didn't feel like I needed it. But what I did instead is, let's see if I can get the light to hit it. I added just a touch of gold leaf right there. Just a little touch to add a little bling. Now, it was a last minute decision. I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to try something because I didn't have the medium to lay the gold leaf down with. And I didn't want to use, I have used regular paint mediums, a gel medium to lay my gold leaf down with, but I was in a hurry. So what I did is I pulled out my trusty glue stick, and I'll show you what I did. Let's zoom in on this. Like, let's say I want just a little touch of gold right in that little spot, right in that line. I'm just going to hit it with a little bit of my glue stick. And I always keep scraps of my gold leaf and my copper leaf when I'm done cleaning up. Now my gold leaf, I don't have that many, I don't have that many nice big pieces, but I think I can piece these together. Now you could use pair of tweezers to pick these pieces up, but I'm just going to kind of poke through them. Let me see what I have that I can poke and find some smooth pieces. And I'm just tapping them down. There's another one. Just tapping that down onto the glue. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be a perfect line. I just want a little bit of bling on it. So this is why I never throw my gold leaf scraps away. I save what I can. And I'm just tapping that down. Now, because it's not the medium that's used to actually put gold leaf on, it dries really quick. I'm not using anything that's wet. And I have a very soft, actually I've got two of these really great brushes that I use. And these are made for gold leaf. They're very soft. They're nothing that I paint with. These were actually made in West Germany. There's not even a West Germany anymore. So then I go through and I just hit and let it pull off what's not sticking. Go back and hit a little bit more. I don't want there to be very much. And there's just a little bit. Maybe what I want to do is then put another little chunk. And I'm not putting very much glue, therefore not much of the gold is staying on. But let's see. It's very delicate stuff. If you played with gold leaf, you know. It breaks apart pretty easily. That's why it ends up in so many little crumbly pieces. And you can also take your brush and tap it down. Make sure it's sticking. And then go across that. And all of the gold leaf that doesn't stick will come off. And you're going to want to make sure, I'm going to have to clean this all off before I start framing because I don't want any little gold dusts sticking to my pieces once they're framed. But that's just a nice little bling, little tiny bit added onto there. Now, each piece will be different how you do it. I could do overkill and repeat a little piece of gold up in the top corner. But I don't think I will. I think just that little bit is enough. Let's see what else. And maybe not all of them call for gold. I also have, let me brush this out of the way. Gold leaf can take over the studio, and for weeks you'll have little pieces of gold dust flaking around. So where would this look good? This is copper. These pieces, believe it or not, actually, let me see if I can pull some paint off these. These pieces that are here are all already copper foil. Maybe just hit a couple little pieces of copper on there. Let's see what sticks. I have a nice piece here that I could probably just lay across all three of those. Smooth it out, make sure it's sticking. I can pull the excess off. Okay, and then making sure that everything is swept off. You can see right there's a little bit of shine. Anyway, so I'm gonna go ahead. I've only got one more piece I'm gonna add to, and then I'm gonna see maybe if I catch the light just right. This little piece of copper I added on. Two of the pieces I added a little bit of copper. And two of the pieces, I added a touch of gold right here. And just a little couple lines of gold here, just a little bit of bling. The other four pieces I already had framed, so I left them as they were. So that's a wrap. And it feels really good to have these pieces completed, these 8 small pieces completed way ahead of time, as these will be in the Gallery 21 solo show that I'm doing May 21 through June 3rd. So if you're in the area, if you're in San Diego, please do stop by and say hi. At the end of this video, I'll have a listing of the 4 upcoming shows that I have going on for the rest of 2024. And if you're around for any of them, please come by. Please tell me that how you know about me and my art, whether it be YouTube or Instagram or some other mysterious way. Let me know, and I'd love to see you. So thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and I will see you next week in my next studio session. Bye-bye for now. Have a great week.